Welcome back to the Graham Stephan Show, and the unimaginable has happened. Boogie has teamed up with Caleb Hammer to do a financial audit, which is something I never thought in a million years would happen, but here it is. Now, for those unfamiliar, Boogie is someone who is one of the OG YouTubers. He has millions of subscribers and lost all of his money because of terrible financial decisions. And Caleb Hammer had the opportunity to sit down with him, go over his finances, and hopefully clear up some of the ginormous mess that he has created for himself. So with that said, I want to comment on this as soon as you hit the like button and subscribe, because this is by far the most epic video we have ever done here on the channel. So thank you so much for being a part of it, and also big thank you to Nextiva for sponsoring today's video, but more on that later. Let's start.
Where are you based out of these days?
I'm living in Fayetteville, Arkansas.
You didn't do the standard like, oh, things are starting to work in YouTube, let's move to LA.
I was really tempted to, but as I said back at the time, I was LA poor, Arkansas rich. Now that's changed a lot because Northwest Arkansas has the University of Arkansas, go Razorbacks. We have the home offices of Walmart. It's become a really expensive area to live in, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Dude, part of the Midwest is just so nice. I've been doing a lot of traveling lately for the podcast, and I have to say a lot of these places that I'd never ordinarily visit, I'm seeing now, and I love it. It's just, these towns are just so nice. Everyone is so friendly. You get seasons. Things are a bit cheaper. You get land. You get trees. You get greenery. And you don't get a lot of like the riffraff that comes along with California.
You went from, if I'm not mistaken, millionaire, correct? A technical millionaire.
I was close. I was really, really close. If I held onto my Ethereum right now, if I had never needed to dip into it and I had not gambled on stupid altcoins, I probably have about 1.5 million in Ethereum right now.
I mean, that's the thing. If you're gonna make a risky bet, and crypto, I would say, is risky. If you invest in crypto, just assume it's going to be worth nothing. For something like that, you have to have a very long-term outlook on it. You know, I don't think, the same thing also applies to stocks. I don't think these are things that are meant to be like traded and flipped. And yes, some people could do that successfully, but 9 times out of 10, you're going to lose money. For something like crypto, it's typically best you make an investment and then you don't look at it for 10 years. You know, at least he made a good decision by going in with Ethereum. I think Bitcoin and Ethereum tend to be the safest, and by, safest, they're still extremely volatile. And who knows what's going to happen. But if you're going to do something like that, go in long term, don't worry about the day-to-day fluctuations, and just invest in it thinking, okay, mentally, it's gone. I'm never going to see it again, and if it happens to be worth something someday, great, and if not, then oh well. But, you know, unfortunately, he went down a dark path of essentially just gambling.
I had people telling me, you should invest in crypto. Everybody I knew was investing.
Everyone you knew.
All of my YouTuber friends, McJuggernuggets kid behind the camera, all these people.
Okay.
They're like, look, I've made millions from crypto. I've made millions from crypto. Nobody was telling me that it was too late in the game.
Yeah, so I think, you know, I would allocate a small portion of the portfolio if you're interested in doing so, a small part to crypto if that's something that you're into. It's got to be a small part and you got to write it off as zero. But he's also getting bad advice from people who are just like YOLOing your money, and it just, in a lot of those cases, it's just dumb luck. It's not strategy. It's not, you know, some insane calculation that they're doing. It's just dumb luck, right place, right time, and them thinking to themselves, oh, wow, I'm a genius. I know the future of this. You know, it was funny. There was a long time ago, this was 2017, there was this kid, and he'd email me, and he was showing me how much money he was making. He was like 17 years old, trading like random altcoins. He sent me these emails, and I wouldn't respond to him. He's like, this coin that I predicted would be worth this and this and this. Pretty much everything today is zero. But at the time, it's like when everything is going up, you get this false sense of confidence that everything you touch is going to turn to gold, and that'll be the case until eventually you hit a losing streak and you lose a lot.
The equity in your house is what's carrying you.
Yeah, that's everything.
Yeah.
My bottom line comes down to if and when I need to sell my house, I'll have a nest egg of probably $300,000 that I can hopefully invest smartly this time and live off of the dividends.
Here's the thing though, if he has 300 grand, let's just assume he cashes out of his house and he invests that $300,000 into the market. Realistically, at his age, he could probably spend 3 to 4% of that every single year without worrying about running out. So 300,000, assuming that's after tax, after, you know, expenses and everything like that associated with selling a house, he's able to make anywhere between $9,000 to $12,000 a year without investment, conservatively. isn't that much. I mean, even on the high end, $1,000 a month is how much he would be able to make indefinitely, which, is enough to probably put a reasonable roof over your head, but anything else like health insurance, food, transportation, that's on him.
$2,100 mortgage, $800 a month health insurance.
Yeah.
Utilities, bills, everything. I need about $7,000 a month to maintain my existing lifestyle, which I just don't think we can do.
Yikes, $7,000 a month. I mean, the thing is, he's got the audience and the reach to be able to do $7,000 a month if he is smart with his money. And he also starts the right businesses, which I really think is important. I kind of think for him it would be really worthwhile to do a business in conjunction with YouTube, because I think blending the two would really help maximize his income. However, the thing that I've noticed is that it's really easy to see all the flaws of a business from the outside looking in. Like usually when I talk to a lot of entrepreneurs, they ask me what's holding them back, and I take a look at it, and sometimes it just looks too amateur. Like just take it from me. When I first started working as a real estate agent, I had one cell phone, and all of my personal calls went to the phone. All of my business calls went to the phone. It just got mixed up. Sometimes I'd get phone numbers. I wasn't sure if friends were texting me, if I didn't have their contacts saved. If it was a client, I ended up missing out on a decent amount of business in the very beginning before I figured this stuff out. So if you're an entrepreneur or you're thinking about just starting a business in this next year and you expect it to have a lot of phone or text communication, there's something that I would recommend you pick up, and that is our sponsor, Nextiva. With Nextiva's cloud phone system, you'll be able to create numbers with different area codes. This means that if you're a real estate investor or you're dialing for deals or calling clients in a certain location, you'll be able to have an area code that matches theirs and therefore hopefully get more pickups and more deals. You're also going to get unlimited calling, business texting, an auto attendant, voice analytics, and various other features that'll make you look as polished as a Fortune 500 company. They even take it a step further by allowing you to manage all conversations with customers and teams on one powerful, easy-to-use app called Nextiva One, so you can manage everything from your cell phone or computer. Basically, they're able to take what would normally be like 4 or 5 products and combine them into one for a fraction of the cost. And Nextiva customers report up to a 60% savings on their phone bill after switching. Nextiva is all about making your life easier so that way you could focus on growing the business and making more money. So if you're interested, go to trynextiva.com/Graham or use the link down below in the description. Again, that's trynextiva.com/Graham to get started today with 50% off and speak with a rep to see if it's a good fit for you. Enjoy. Thank you so much. And now let's get back to the video.
But if you're going to buy a luxury car, don't buy a Tesla.
What's wrong with Tesla? I'm considering getting a Tesla.
They're so expensive for repairs. If someone dents that vehicle, they know it's a luxury car, so they make sure they upcharge you every chance they get.
I somewhat disagree, okay? I think the Model 3, the base Model 3 is such a good value. If you could get the $7,500 tax credit, and several states are also offering credits beyond that. Like I think California's offering or offered another $2,000 off. So you could get almost essentially $10,000 off the MSRP of a Model 3, which they already reduced the price. So you could get essentially a brand new Tesla for under $30,000. And if you do the Tesla kind of like pre-owned inventory or inventory that they already have on the lot, they offer a discount on top of that. So, you could also use a referral code, like one of the codes down below in the description, for an additional $500 off. It might be $250 now, but essentially the lowest that you could get this car is like 28 grand for a brand new car.
If you watch one of my live streams, I mention donations, subs, stuff like that, maybe once in a 2-hour stream, because I've never, against the character I play, against the reputation I have, I don't like crowdsourcing.
You know what the interesting thing is that in a sense, you really have to own what you say. If people sense that you're inauthentic, or maybe you seem a bit hesitant about saying something, or maybe you're on the edge, or maybe people have the idea that, oh, that's not actually him because you waver on what you say, people are not receptive to it. They could kind of see past it. That's why some people get away with the edginess, because they're like, oh, that's just them. I think Danny Duncan and Nelk are two of the channels where they're just undoubtedly just themselves. They could say or do whatever they want, and their audience loves it because that's them. But if people try to copy them, you could usually see through it and you don't like it.
Yeah, I had like 2 good years. If you look at the 17-year history, I had like 2 really good years.
You've made $1.3 million Incredible.
In 17 years,
And we
which
have,
comes out to what per year?
I know, but that's still an
you a math
incredible
guy?
amount of money. Well, I'm not a public math guy.
Yes, over 17 years. It's not as impressive as it seems. What is that? That is $76,000 a year, which after tax, let's just assume he's, getting taxed 30%, a single guy. That leaves him with $53,200 left over after taxes, which that's a normal job. Again, it's nice, but it's not like crazy YouTube money that you kind of hear about.
Maybe.
Sure, probably.
What do we do when you're no longer here and you've left nothing to a widow?
My plan is to still leave her better off than she was.
Okay.
Right?
Well,
Like get her
sure.
out into the world, get her the experience she needs, get her working when she's ready.
Yeah, I see his perspective, okay? She's going into this. She'll come out of it better than where she, came in. She's probably got a ton of opportunities now, given his channel, his reach, the documentary. She could really run with this. If she's smart and she really gives it her all, she could build probably a decent career alongside them. They could probably build a career together on this. She could help him, he could help her. What is this is the American dream. So I wouldn't be too concerned with her. And worst case, she didn't have much going into it. She's not going to have much coming out of it. She can get a job.
I will bend over backwards to make sure that mortgage gets paid.
Yeah.
If I have to sell everything I own, if I have to...
You know what? I'm surprised he's not getting a roommate. Because I saw he's got, a few bedrooms in there. Imagine, he just says, hey guys, come live with me, $900 a month. Come stay in the bedroom, here's some rules. We'll make sure we get along as buddies. Even $1,000 a month. I bet he could find someone $1,000 a month. That pays for his health insurance and $200 a month of food. So just right off the bat, that's $1,000 less he has to make every single month. Or he could just put that $1,000 towards the house. I would absolutely do that if he's not doing that already. That is such low-hanging fruit to rent out bedrooms.
I had a nervous breakdown at the end of 2019. And I said to the people who had spent the last year harassing me, getting my sponsors to stop supporting me, attacking my fans, I said that they were worse than... Which is not a thing you can say.
He's just got to be smart with what he says. You can't just, especially on a live stream, you can't just blurt out whatever comes to your mind and think that's appropriate. He needs a filter. Even if it's just like a 2-second delay, just 2 seconds, he'd be okay.
If you'd invited me to do this in December of last year, I would have laughed at you.
Why?
Because this is humiliating. How humiliating is it to look at every mistake you've ever made printed out and be called out on your
want it to
for
be
thousands of people to see?
Yeah, it does take a lot of courage to be able to do something like this, to really put yourself out there, to be so public about it, just really for criticism of others or for others' enjoyment or pleasure to go and watch something like this. Because if you're watching a video like this for Kaylee Pay, you're getting some form of enjoyment. I'm sure you could say, yeah, he's willingly doing it and I could learn from this experience, but I would say it's probably 90% entertainment at his expense, which I think takes a lot of bravery to be able to do something like that. And you could also argue maybe he has other motives of, getting his name out there and kind of, putting this behind him by exposing everything. So I bet it benefits everybody, but at the end of the day, it takes a lot of courage.
We'll get to the dumb purchase soon.
Yeah, the dumb purchase was a dog.
Well, I have 2 dogs. They're great.
I spent way too much on a dog.
How much?
He's a purebred miniature poodle,
Sure.
which generally would cost you about $3,000 to $3,500.
Okay.
I bought him in a pet store, so I paid $5,000.
$5,000. See, here's the thing. I don't have anything against it if you could afford it. But when you can't afford it, spending $5,000 when there's so many pets out there just begging to be adopted at the shelter. There's so many pets that don't have homes. And, especially when you can't afford $5,000, you shouldn't be affording it. Always just go to the shelter. I think that's usually best.
Late payment fee.
Yeah.
$25 late payment fee December 1st. This just happened.
Yep.
Oh, me.
October was a very lean month.
Oh, and you have a brand new iPhone.
Dude, this phone was free.
Really?
Yeah, Verizon traded us an iPhone 7 for that.
But they probably lock you in on some sort of contract. It's never free. If something is free, you got to look at it and say, okay, what's the catch? It's not free. You got to do something for it. It signs you up for another program. They're going to make money on that. There's no way they're just handing out brand new iPhones.
We do eat groceries at home. We have some of the inexpensive meals we make. We make tacos, we make shrimp pasta. If I'm really feeling splurgy, we'll make burgers at home. We eat at home the majority of the time. Yeah.
Unfortunately, we just can't afford to probably go out at all right now.
Yeah, that's one of the easiest things for people to cut out, really, is just eating out. If you could just cut out eating out, it's almost guaranteed you're going to save a few $100s a month. And so when you're on the wire like this, every single dollar counts and you cannot afford to eat out. Always go to the grocery store, buy in bulk from Costco if you can, cook yourself at home, get cheap meals, eat as cheap as possible with the highest quality that you can for the price, and that's it. Don't go out.
I walked into an emergency room with a blood pressure of 280 over 180, and they're like, hey, you're dying now. You're not dying eventually. You're dying now.
But you kind of are.
I mean, this.
No, wait, you said you're not going to listen.
As unfortunate as this is the healthiest I've ever been.
Meanwhile, he's drinking Mountain Dew. You know, I think he needs a complete lifestyle change of eating healthy, exercising, and get rid of the Mountain Dew. And the good thing with fitness, a lot of it is free. It is free to eat a little less. It is free to go outside and get some exercise. Take walks around the block. Go running. The basics are free. Body weight exercises. I'm talking like push-ups. You could do some pull-ups and stuff like this. Free. You could get the basics for free. Cost you nothing. In fact, you could probably save some money because, if you eat a little less, maybe the portions are smaller. You don't spend as much money. Free. Free, free, free. This should be a priority for him. Right alongside with your income is make more money, lose more weight. Both of those, if he could just focus on those for a year, just imagine where he could be, the strides he could take in his life.
I pay $800 a month for the best insurance I can afford because I absolutely have no choice, right?
Yeah.
It's
and you met your deductible.
Do
this
I?
year.
I meet my deductible within the first 2 months, most of the time. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, just the cost of healthcare for him. What is that? $800 a month times 12. Basically $10,000 a year is how much he has to spend in healthcare. So you add up $10,000 plus you got to add in the $2,100 for the mortgage. So he's at $35,200. Plus you got to add in probably another $4,000, $5,000 in food. Right there, he's already at $40,000 a year. And that's not even for anything else other than health insurance, food, and the mortgage. It adds up fast.
Why aren't you editing your own stuff? You have time, I assume.
He's incredibly better at it. And so if I have an actual project that needs to get done, and he works for minimum wage for me, to be very clear, because he's a friend. So, but occasionally he'll get a business dinner to talk projects and stuff.
Yeah, I could see that. If his videos are slightly better, he could have a better reach, he could make more money from it, and it's a tax write-off.
What did you do these last few quarterlies when quarterly payments?
I literally can't afford to make quarterly payments, so I'm paying in lump sums at the beginning of the year most of the time.
If you can't afford to do them quarterly, how are we going to do them annually with penalties?
I think this year I'll end up having to set up a payment plan with the U.S. government.
Oh, man, that's bad. I mean, that's a good question, though. So basically, for people who are self-employed, the IRS, they want their money throughout regular periods in the year. And they don't want you to basically go and save the money all year and then just pay one lump sum at the end. So there are penalties associated with that if you don't calculate it correctly, which can be a bit difficult. So usually it's better to pay a little bit more than you think you'll need to spend. But it's tricky. It's very tricky. It's a bit of a balancing act between how much do I want to give the IRS versus I don't want to give them too much, and then it's like an interest-free loan, essentially. So, with that said, he's choosing to pay the penalties, which is costing him even more money. It's one of those things like it's expensive to be broke. And in this case, it's a perfectly good example of it's costing him more money to be broke than if he just had the money to begin with.
Having had this very similar problem in my 20s, with a small business collapsing, and owing them $1,500 then, they were very eager to work with you. They're like, just give us anything, man. The U.S. government works slow, and believe it or not, they're surprisingly cool when it comes to owing them money.
You know what? I have to agree. That's one of the things that a lot of people have a big misconception about. A lot of people think, oh, the IRS, they're horrible to work with. They just, at the end of the day, it's a normal person on the other end of the line. They had nothing invested in you, paying them or not paying them. They just want you to work with them. They just want you to be amenable to paying them something or working out a plan so that both people are happy. The IRS is not evil. They're not trying to get people. They don't have a vengeance against certain people. They just want you to pay. So if you call them up or you hire a professional to work on your behalf, they tend to be really good to work with, very forgiving, and they just want you to pay your bill. That's it. In most cases.
There's been people in the media industry in general who have, not paid taxes. They've gone to jail.
If you owe them a significant amount of money, then yes, they do not consider $2,000.
No, I know.
Yeah, but there's a big difference. Usually going to jail or something like that is because of like gross negligence, fraud, and they have to like prove criminal intent on stuff like that, like purposely hiding income and try not to pay them and refusing. There's so many steps that have to go down for you to actually wind up in jail for not paying your taxes. In most cases, they're probably going to put liens on things and they want you to pay. They don't want to send people to prison. They just want their money.
I mean, I'll still have to pay off this phone before I get there, but yes.
So wait.
Yeah,
You
like
told
I
me
said,
that phone was $0.
It added up to like there was a balance of $420 spread across 24 months.
Oh.
But it's 0% interest.
I told you, it's not free. He's financing this crap. They're baking it in. They're like, oh, you could walk out here with nothing extra. You could have brand new phone. No, you don't. There's always a catch. He signed up for a damn payment plan on this thing. It's 0% interest. Yeah, but he's still paying it.
So how many people do you have to buy groceries for, like every day type thing?
Me and her.
Just you two?
Yeah. We do have somebody that, again, will cook for free as long as they're eating. So we do take advantage of that. So generally means we're cooking for 3 most of the times.
Is she bringing in an income, you know? My thought is that if she got a job, even making like 30 grand a year, and they kind of pooled that together through some of these like shared expenses, man, I'm not saying you should go and like just have her work to bring back money for him. But, you know, at the same token, if she's working and being able to make like 20 grand a year, gosh, even just part-time work, 20 grand a year, that'll go a long way towards some of these just like shared expenses.
On a monthly basis, medications, what is coming out on average?
About $1,500 for health insurance and medications.
Oh, okay. Not health insurance.
Yeah, in the neighborhood, $500 to $700 depending on the month.
Wow, so that's $20 a day in medications. Jeez, and that's just what he's paying. So imagine the cost of his medications to the insurance company. That's got to be probably, I don't know, almost 10 times that. So he's doing like, I don't know, maybe $1,000 a day in medication, like insurance costs. That's a lot.
5,856 in order to survive. So a little under.
One thing we haven't included here.
Oh, okay.
And it is the other backup plan that I've had, which is so incredibly stupid.
Oh, no. Now, before we go into that, I do just want to say that the $1,500 a month deficit is not that bad. Like, when you really add up his absolute needs, if he needed to do this, to be in a $1,500 a month hole, I've seen way worse situations. Way worse. People just up to their eyeballs in useless debt, credit card debt, student loan debt, renting things they don't need. You know, this is manageable. He could find a way to make an extra $1,500 a month. But now let's hear the stupid idea.
I started playing a card game called Magic the Gathering back in 1994.
Yeah.
So I have cards that have been my backup plan for the entirety of my life. So I sell them as I go. Now I'm learning today from you that I should absolutely go home, sell $10,000 worth, and throw it at these high interest loans.
Yes, absolutely. The cards are not outperforming the debt. That's just not going to happen. Maybe certain cards might under certain conditions. Magic the Gathering, though, I'm also you know, somewhat into Magic the Gathering. The values have been very steady. It's not like Pokemon where they just shot up and went down, then came back up again and went back down again. Magic the Gathering has a very cult following. They're very into it. It's very consistent. So I would probably be chucking some of the cards he doesn't need, paying off the debts, doing whatever, because these cards at the end of the day, they're not going to beat a traditional investment or you know, high interest rate debt. They might, but it's doubtful. I take the sure thing, pay off the debt.
I cannot, nor should I, want my existing audience or my pre-existing audience to want to dig me out of this hole. Now, it's a whole other thing if I create content that they want to pay for. Right?
Yes,
if I give value, you give value. Most YouTubers give value.
Part of me worries he's kind of like stuck in like the 2012 days of YouTube or 2015 days, and content's just really evolved since then. And I haven't seen the progress in his content, and admittedly I don't watch his content that often, but I see generally that he's kind of kept the same format for a very long time. For some people it might work, but for him I think he really needs to just take some time to reevaluate and reinvent himself and come back stronger than ever with content that is maybe geared towards today's audience.
Are you willing to stop eating $900 at McDonald's and Starbucks a month?
I'd love to. And it's something I actively have tried to do my whole life.
I get that, but at this point, it's like not a choice. It's really not.
I respect that.
What about accountability? The people surrounding you?
I mean, they're doing their best.
Well, what does that look
Nobody
like?
can hold your toes to the fire, man.
Yeah, a lot of it really comes back down to him. I mean, he could have the best accountability buddies in the world, everyone watching over him, but if he's going to go to his room, sneak some snacks, fall off the bandwagon, he's the only one who's got to keep himself accountable. He's got to want it more than the enjoyment of giving in.
After this conversation, I'm going to continue to do what I've been doing for the last 30 to 45 days, which is work as much as I humanly possibly can.
How many hours a day do you think that
I'm
is?
putting in like a good 40-hour work week now.
Okay. Well, I think that when we can't survive, I think that needs to be 60 to 80.
Yeah, there's no way working as much as you can is 40 hours a week. There's so much more time. He could double that. He could easily do 80 hours a week and still have some free time. You don't realize how many hours there are in a week, okay? 7 days times 24 is 168 hours in a week. And even if you're sleeping 8 hours a night, every single night, you still have 112 hours every single week.
I would apply to these billion, trillion, quadrillion jobs.
I had that headhunter
Yeah.
tell me off camera, man, there's nothing we're going to be able to do for you. I don't think there's anything about you need to focus on the YouTube thing.
Okay.
If a headhunter is telling me that these people aren't going to hire me, I trust her evaluation.
Yeah, I would tend to agree that YouTube is probably his best opportunity. Right now, that is the golden goose. It's still laying some eggs. They might not be as golden and shiny as they used to be. They're still laying, though. He should really dig into that. I just think his time spent there is going to yield the largest, biggest results over the next 5 years.
I think the system is designed to take advantage of people, and not to make myself to be a victim, because I don't think it took advantage of me. I just made some bad choices, right? But I think there's a lot of people out there who don't have access to this knowledge, that don't have access to this information, and what you're doing here really helps people like that.
So overall, it seems like he is actually making a sincere effort to improve. It's just whether or not he's going to stick with it. It seems like he's on a really good trajectory. He's got good momentum right now, but will he actually stick with it? So with that said, you guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. As always, feel free to check out our sponsor down below in the description. Hit the like button, subscribe. Let me know what you guys think, and until next time.